remember the sound of the machine flatlining, that long, piercing note, the sound that means it's over. I remember hearing it and realizing I was still there, trapped, a prisoner inside my own body. Everyone thought I was gone. My eyes were closed, my hands cold, but my mind, it was screaming. I could hear every word around me, every whisper, every sigh. I heard my son's voice first, shaking, pretending to be broken, and then hers, his wife, calm, cold, practical. "She's suffering," she said. "It's time to let her go." Let me go? I wanted to scream, "I'm still here. Don't you dare." But my lips wouldn't move. My heart was still beating, but they only heard what they wanted to. Then came the doctor's voice, quiet, professional. "Are you sure you want to withdraw support?" Papers shuffled, pens scratched, someone sniffled, and then the sound that will haunt me forever, the click that turned off my life. Everything went silent. My body felt heavy, like sinking into cold water. But somewhere deep inside, I was awake, listening, thinking, feeling. They declared me dead. My own son signed the papers. My daughter-in-law started making calls before my body was even cold. But death? Death wasn't ready for me. Because I didn't die that day. No, I woke up in another city, with another name. And when I did, I made a promise to myself. I would take everything back. Do you know what it feels like to attend your own funeral? Before I tell you how I came back from the dead, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It helps stories like mine reach people who still believe in second chances. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Hazel Thompson. I used to be a school teacher, the kind who always smelled faintly of chalk dust and lavender lotion. I taught children how to read, how to dream, how to be kind. For most of my life, I thought I had it figured out, that if you gave enough love, it would always come back to you. I was wrong. I married young. My husband, Arthur, was a gentleman, quiet, funny in his own shy way. We didn't have much, but what we built together was ours. A little brick house with blue shutters, a garden full of daisies, and a son who was the center of our world. When Arthur passed away from a heart attack, I told myself I'd stay strong. For our boy, Daniel.
He was all I had left. Every breath, every penny, every prayer. It was for him. I worked extra hours, took tutoring jobs, skipped meals just to make sure he never had to feel poor. Had dreamed of the day he'd have his own family, his own home, maybe a child or two calling me Grandma Hazel. When he finally got married, I tried to be happy for him. I really did. Her name was Melissa. Elegant, polished, with that smile that never quite reached her eyes. She was polite in public, but behind closed doors, her words could slice through kindness like a knife. I saw the way she looked at my house, my jewelry, the savings I had tucked away. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. After all, she was family now. But soon the warmth in our home began to fade. They stopped visiting as often. Daniel started to sound distant on the phone, like every word was weighed before he said it. Then came the illness. It started with a faint dizziness, a slip in the kitchen, a fall that left me on the floor for hours. The doctor said it was a stroke, small, but enough to change everything. My speech slowed, my body weakened, and before I knew it, I was in a hospital bed surrounded by tubes and machines, the scent of disinfectant replacing the smell of my garden. I thought at least I'd be surrounded by love, but what I heard instead broke me. They spoke in whispers when they thought I was asleep. Her condition's not improving. She wouldn't want to live like this. And then Melissa's voice, calm, collected, venom hidden behind pity. Daniel, the bills are piling up. Your mother wouldn't want to be a burden. A burden. That's what I had become to them. I wanted to tell them I could hear. I wanted to scream that I was still me, Hazel, the woman who had sacrificed everything for them. But my lips wouldn't move. My body wouldn't respond. I was locked inside myself, watching the people I loved debate whether my life was worth the cost. Days turned into weeks. The nurses came and went. The lights blurred. And every time the machines beeped, I wondered, was that the sound of my heart or the countdown to my goodbye? I remember praying one night, quietly in my head, God, if this is my time, let me go gently. But if it's not, please don't let them win. Because deep down I felt it, the chill of betrayal creeping into my bones long before they ever switched off that machine. I thought family meant love, but in that hospital room, I learned what greed really sounds like. The day they turned off my life support, it was raining. Funny, isn't it? The world mourning with me, even when no one else did. I remember the beeping slowing down. I couldn't move, couldn't open my eyes, but I could feel everything. The warmth of a hand on mine, the whisper of paper being signed. Then a voice, the doctor, calm but cold, "Are you sure about this?" And my son, my Daniel, answered in a voice I barely recognized. "Yes, let her go." Those words carved through me like glass. My own child, the baby I'd held through fevers and nightmares, now choosing to end my story. I wanted to scream, "I'm still here," but no sound came. Then came the click. The machine fell silent. For a moment, I thought the world had ended. Everything faded, the light, the noise, even time itself. I don't know how long I stayed there in that strange in-between place. Long enough for them to leave, long enough for my body to grow cold. But death didn't take me. Hours later, maybe more, I felt something. A pull, faint but real. A spark somewhere deep inside refusing to die. Then I heard voices again, hurried, panicked. "Wait, check her pulse again. This can't be right." It was a young doctor, barely more than a boy. He'd come back to finish paperwork and noticed something odd on my monitor. A flicker, a heartbeat. By the time the truth reached the higher-ups, the hospital was in chaos. They had already declared me legally dead. My body had been tagged for transfer. If word got out that they'd shut off a living patient's life support, the scandal would destroy them. So they made a deal. When I woke up, weak, disoriented, terrified, a woman in a gray suit sat beside my bed. She didn't wear a doctor's coat, but she spoke like someone who made things disappear. "Mrs. Thompson," she said quietly, "you've been through a great ordeal, but if you stay quiet, we can help you start over." Start over? My mind could barely grasp it. I'd been buried in paperwork, erased from the world, and now they wanted me to pretend it was meant to be? I was too exhausted to fight. My body was a shadow of what it once was. My hands trembled, my voice barely a whisper. So I signed. They moved me to another facility in another city, gave me a new name, Helen Ward. For months, I couldn't even stand. The nurses there were kind, but they didn't ask questions. I wasn't Hazel Thompson, the miracle patient. I was just another old woman with a secret she didn't talk about. Slowly, I healed, learned to walk again, learned to breathe without fear that someone might pull the plug. I found small joys, the taste of tea, sunlight through a window, the laughter of a nurse who reminded me of my students. But at night, the memories returned. The rain, the silence, Daniel's voice saying, "Let her go." I tried to forgive him. I told myself maybe he was manipulated, maybe Melissa convinced him, but the wound never closed. Years passed. I grew stronger. Older, yes, but alive, fiercely, stubbornly alive. I even began volunteering at a community center, helping young mothers learn to read and write. Life had become simple, quiet. Until one afternoon, I was scrolling through an old newspaper someone left behind, and I saw it, a photo. There he was, Daniel, my son, standing proudly in front of my house, the same blue shutters, the same rose garden Arthur and I planted decades ago, only now it was freshly painted, polished, expensive. And next to him, Melissa, holding a glass of champagne. The caption read, "Local couple celebrates new beginnings after family tragedy." Something inside me broke. New beginnings. My death had become their beginning. My savings, my home, my life, all stolen. They had claimed my insurance, my estate, everything I had ever worked for. And there they were, smiling like I had never existed. That night, I couldn't sleep. My hands shook as I sat on the edge of my bed, whispering to the empty room. "You took everything from me, but you forgot one thing. I'm still alive." For weeks, I planned quietly. No one around me knew who I really was, and I intended to keep it that way until I was ready. I gathered every scrap of paper I still had from the hospital, the discharge file, the hidden documents from the staff who'd helped cover their mistake. I contacted an old lawyer who owed me a favor from years ago. When I told him my story, he thought I was joking until he saw the death certificate with my name on it. The investigation began. Slow, methodical, silent, just how I wanted it. When I finally returned to my old town, my heart felt like it might burst. Everything looked smaller. The bakery on the corner had changed names. The street lights were new. But when I reached my house, their house now, I stopped at the gate. Melissa was out front, watering the flowers I had planted years ago. She didn't recognize me, of course. To her, I was just another old woman, gray and forgettable. I smiled politely and said, "Lovely garden you have there." She thanked me, none the wiser. I walked away before my anger could show. But in that moment, I knew exactly what I needed to do. The court hearings that followed were surreal. Watching Daniel squirm as my lawyer presented evidence, my hospital records, the falsified insurance claims, the forged signatures. His eyes darted everywhere but toward me. When it was finally my turn to speak,
I stood. My voice trembled, but it carried every ounce of pain I had swallowed all those years. "You took the breath out of my body," I said. "You let them turn off the very thing that gave you life. And for what? A house? Some money? A few years of comfort?" Melissa turned pale. Daniel tried to speak, but the judge silenced him. I leaned closer, my voice a whisper only they could hear. "You buried me alive, but death didn't want me. Maybe it thought you deserved me more." The courtroom was silent. A month later, they lost everything. The money, the property, even the respect of the neighbors they'd once fooled. The media called it the miracle case. I called it justice. But revenge, I learned, is a hollow victory. Standing in my old home again, surrounded by empty walls and ghostly memories, I realized something important. I had taken everything back, yes, but it didn't feel the same. The laughter, the warmth, Arthur's voice humming in the kitchen, those things were gone forever. So I did what I always do when life feels too heavy. I planted something new. Roses again, the same kind Arthur loved. Now every morning I water them and whisper, "We made it, love. I came back." They switched off my life support, but they couldn't switch off my will to live. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. Not everyone listens to an old woman's story these days. But if my journey taught you something about courage, about betrayal, about finding your strength, even when the world gives up on you, then don't let this be the end of our time together. Go on, my dear. Click that subscribe button below. It costs nothing, but it means the world to storytellers like me who still have tales left to tell. Turn on the little bell too, so you'll know when another story blooms, just like the roses in my garden. And if you felt something today, even a whisper of hope or fire in your heart, share this story. Someone out there might need it more than you know. Now, let's take a deep breath together, because my story isn't quite over yet. When I look back now, I don't see the machines or the hospital lights anymore. I see the faces, the ones that stayed and the ones that turned away. I see the moments that broke me and the ones that built me again. People always ask me how it felt to die and come back. The truth is, I didn't really die. I just stopped being the version of myself that believed love could never betray. When I woke up, I wasn't just breathing again. I was reborn into a woman who finally understood that survival isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your story. Sometimes at night, I still hear the rain, that same sound from the day they switched off my life support. Only now it doesn't scare me. It reminds me that even when the world tries to wash you away, the strongest roots always find their way back through the soil. I forgave Daniel in my heart, though I never saw him again. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's choosing peace over poison. Melissa? Well, I imagine she still wakes up every now and then, wondering if I'm out there. Maybe she even checks the shadows. Let her. Some ghosts prefer to stay alive. These days, I spend my mornings tending to my roses, the same ones Arthur once called our little miracles. And every time a new bud opens, I think, that's me, still blooming after the storm. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. You are never as powerless as they make you feel. Life can be cruel, yes, but it can also be breathtakingly kind. And sometimes, when everything is taken from you, it's only so you can learn to take yourself back. My name is Hazel Thompson. They switched off my life support, but I woke up and I took everything back.